Welcome to Focus on Why, the podcast where reflection sparks action. I'm Amy Rowlinson, and together we'll explore compelling stories, profound insights, and transformative experiences from inspiring guests worldwide. Feeling lost or unfulfilled? Searching for clarity, purpose, or meaning in your work and life? This podcast invites you on a journey of self-discovery to align your work with your values, shape your future with intention, and create a purposeful way of life. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why. Before we dive in, let me share how I can transform your journey as a purpose coach. I specialize in helping you get crystal clear on your why, aligning your passion with your purpose, and crafting a plan to create the life you truly desire. Book a free 30-minute coaching call today. The link is in the show notes. Let's start building your purposeful future together. Hello and welcome to episode 471. This is my 76th Reflection with Action episode. Well, for the first time in over 5 years of this show, I missed last week the self-imposed deadline that I have to release an episode and fit into the schedule. But I did have a pretty good excuse. We moved home last Tuesday, and for the first time in over 18 and a half years, I've actually spent the last month or so, probably the best part of the last 2 months, packing boxes, relinquishing items no longer required, and reliving many memories in the process. I think it's fair to say I'm a bit of a hoarder, which in some ways is a good thing, because there have been many moments that I might have forgotten if I hadn't resurfaced some items and memories, and they've really prompted me to reflect on the past. However, a hoarder isn't always a good thing, and there have been many trips to the tip. It's a new future now that has just begun, and I have been focusing on what really matters to me right now in the present. The new home has already really surprised us at how lovely it is, particularly the view of the rolling hills from all of our back of the house windows, and the walks that are just outside the front door are spectacular. In fact, I keep pinching myself. It's just how fortunate we are to be living here. So with all the reluctance I had initially to move house, it's actually been more than okay. And since last episode on the 4th of June, having wrapped up my Meaningful Success Mastermind, I've been having one-to-one sessions with all the members of that cohort to see what transformations have occurred. And here's what some have said to me so far. Mind-blowing, mindset changing with real results to enhance future success path. Transformational, enlightening, effective, expansive, and so very welcomed. Magical. When I asked them what they would say to someone who might think about joining the next cohort, here's what they said. If you want to really break out of habits that no longer serve you, if you want to really explore who you are, if you want to really evolve into the person you want to be deep down in your heart, then trust Amy. If you're looking for real purpose and meaning, bringing the best of yourself to your business, your family, and your community, then Amy is the ideal expert guide for the path you're treading. Her ability as a coach is outstanding, and her insight and experience will deliver not just what you want, but more importantly, what you need in the company of a carefully curated peer group that will grow together. For anyone a little confused about where you are now or needing clarity around where you're heading professionally or personally, I would recommend Amy's Mastermind to learn and understand your values and clarity around the road ahead in a supportive, safe space. Well, there you go. If you're interested in joining the next cohort, which is going to start in September, then email me on amy@amyrowlinson.com and I'll send you the details. What else has happened? Well, I received a very unexpected phone call from the current head teacher of my old grammar school, inviting me back as an alumni speaker to present the end-of-year awards to years 7 to 10 and give the girls a talk on the advice that I would share with my younger self. She'd read my book and said that the message really aligned well with her school values. What a wonderful opportunity it was, and such an honour to craft a talk for the next generation of leaders. Standing just across from where I once sat as a self-doubting 12-year-old, I shared the 4 words that changed my life forever. Have courage of conviction. They were first spoken to me in 1987 by my art teacher, Mrs. Jones, And those words lit a spark. They echoed through my life as I battled doubt, ignored my natural strengths, and even questioned my future after a careers computer printout suggested librarian, while my friends got actress, vet, lawyer, physio. I didn't realise then that trusting my inner compass would become the greatest lesson of all. And now, decades later, I've followed my desire path, from coaching and podcasting to publishing a book co-authored across time with my late grandfather, whose wartime scrapbook helped me challenge the belief that I wasn't good enough. I shared with the students how courage of conviction presents in real life and urged them to live from the inside out, to notice what matters to them, that their values are their compass, to be aware of the invisible pressures from school, family, social media, society telling them who to be, and that they were able to rewrite those scripts, and to make small, brave choices as they compound over time, to reframe failure, that it's just a lesson with a different name, and to celebrate all the moments which reflect courage and self-trust. As I passed on my teacher's, Mrs. Jones's, words to a new generation, I saw the message land in parents, teachers, and students alike. Have courage to begin, have courage to continue, and have courage of conviction. What else? Well, there's been quite a lot happening, I have to say. John and I celebrated our 24th wedding anniversary and 30 years together. We actually crossed town to go and see where they shot some of the scenes of Ted Lasso. It was really good fun. And it's been 3 decades of choosing, growing, laughing, believing in one another, but also believing in ourselves. Marriage, or any long relationship for that matter, is a mirror reflecting the best in you and also the parts which perhaps you'd rather ignore. It teaches you how to stand on your own and also how to stand together. What John and I have learned through our years together is that to truly love someone else, to be part of a team that thrives, first, you have to believe in yourself. It's that courage of conviction again. You have to trust that your worth is not conditional, that you bring something unique to the world. Self-belief is where resilience is born. It's what lets you show up for the people you love. So now, as John and I prepare for a brand new chapter in our life as we've just moved to this new home, facing new possibilities, our belief remains our foundation. Belief in the future, belief in ourselves, in who we are, and in who we're becoming. Where in your life might you be outsourcing belief? Are you waiting for others to validate your worth, your path, or your dreams before giving yourself permission to fully show up? Self-belief isn't about ego, it's about grounding, recognizing your inherent value and leading from that truth, especially when things feel uncertain. This week, do one small thing that honors the belief that you have in yourself. Maybe it's setting a boundary, speaking up in a room where you usually stay quiet, writing a list of your strengths, or revisiting a dream that you've been putting off. Whatever it is, let it be a gentle act of trust and a reminder that you're someone worth believing in every single day. It's also been Holly, our daughter's graduation, and we celebrated her first-class honours degree from the University of Exeter just 2 days ago. We're so proud of what Holly has achieved, particularly as she's overcome illness, injuries, setbacks, but throughout has maintained a balance and harmony, prioritising her well-being over just focusing on academia. All the graduation speeches were really inspiring, with purpose and fulfilment mentioned often throughout them. At the graduation, receiving an honorary degree, in degree number 3 in fact, over 40 years since she collected her English degree from Exeter, was writer, campaigner and the UK's first Green Party MP, Caroline Lucas. Her speech was truly fascinating. There's been a couple more things that I've been doing. I attended the One of Many Gala dinner, which celebrated the final cohort of their signature programme Lead the Change, one that has really been impactful for me. But their focus now switches to training more certified coaches using the One of Many tools, which will help equip more women across the world to help them change the corner of the world sustainably. I'm working with a new coach also who's introduced me to the world of family systems theory, which has been fascinating, viewing life through this particular lens, opening up yet another perspective on past events and actually current events too. Anyway, let's return to the focus of today's episode, which is to review the last 5 guest episodes and share my reflections with actions. Looking at episodes 466 to 470, first up is 466, Rubies in the Rubble with Singh. My goodness, what an episode that was. Can your darkest moment reveal your greatest purpose? Jazz's remarkable journey suggests it can. From a childhood marked by trauma and violence to a successful career in banking, Jazz's trajectory took a sharp turn. A workplace tribunal, homelessness, a tragic accident, and eventually imprisonment. It was behind bars that Jazz found meaning through service to others with a deeper calling to fight for justice. Today, Jazz is a passionate advocate for second chances, supporting ex-offenders and rebuilding their lives through meaningful work and challenging society to stop defining people by their worst mistake. His work spans the social and criminal justice spaces, where he champions inclusion, systemic change, and the power of global voices to solve local issues. In this episode, we dive into how trauma and incarceration shaped Jazz's purpose, the importance of dignity, work, and second chances, why society must look beyond stigma to see potential, what it means to be a change maker driving justice from the inside out. Jazz's story is a moving reminder that purpose, hope, and leadership can rise from the unlikeliest places. He invites us all to search deeper for the talent, the value, and the truth often overlooked. This is a conversation about resilience, justice, and the hidden potential waiting to be seen. This is about finding the rubies in the rubble. If you found yourself challenged or moved by the threads running through Jazz's story, you're not alone. His journey is a testament to the power of reflection, redemption, and meaningful transformation. He speaks with disarming honesty about his past, the death of the first version of me, and the inner work required during his time in prison. His ability to reframe incarceration as a period of joy may seem startling, yet for him, joy was found not in circumstance, but in growth, purpose, and becoming a light for others. A central theme in Jazz's story is the power of second chances and the societal barriers that can make them so hard to access. He challenges us to consider, if someone is forever held to the worst day of their life, how can they ever become more than that? It's not enough to expect transformation from individuals. We must also examine the systems and attitudes that shape their possibilities. You may have paused at the uncomfortable truth. Talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. Jazz reminds us that 1 in 4 people in the UK carry a criminal conviction. They're not abstract figures. They're in the coffee queue, on the train, part of our everyday lives. The real difference lies in how we respond to their presence, with suspicion or with belief in their potential. This isn't just a story of one man's transformation. It's an invitation to take stock of our own biases and actions. Jazz's advice is both simple and profound. Do the inner work. Ask yourself, when was the last time you questioned why you instinctively trust some people but not others? Have you ever unconsciously reinforced barriers to someone's second chance? One practice Jazz recommends is noticing the circles you move in. Are they inclusive of people who've faced exclusion, whether through incarceration, disability, or other differences? If not, what small steps could you take to expand them? For those in hiring or leadership positions, Jazz's message is especially urgent. His work highlights the need to recognise transferable skills, finding rubies in the rubble. Could your organisation support fair chance hiring? Start by asking, what if we evaluated potential, not just the past? Could we advocate for removing blanket bans on applicants with convictions? Even outside formal settings, your attitude matters. The next time you hear a story of someone rebuilding after failure, resist snap judgments. Pause and ask, what would love do? A question Jazz uses as his moral compass. Would love bar the door, or open it with curiosity and support. If you're in a period of darkness or reinvention yourself, remember Jazz's analogy of the Olympic torch. Each of us carries the power to bring light, not just for ourselves, but for others still stumbling in the gloom. Redemption is not just abstract, it's real, rooted in everyday choices and available to everyone. Here are my recommended reflections with actions for Jazz's episode. Journal for 15 minutes on what do second chances mean to you? Have you received one? Offered one? Where might you offer one now? Challenge a bias. Choose a group you feel distant from, perhaps people with criminal histories, and seek a story or conversation that humanizes them. Review your influence. If you hire, re-examine your policies. If you're a friend or community member, support initiatives that champion second chances. Adopt what would love do. Before judging, pause, and let that question shape your next decision. This episode is a moving reminder that transformation through adversity is possible, and that we each have a role to play in making second chances real. Jazz's story proves that when we couple self-reflection with action, redemption becomes not just possible, but powerful. So ask yourself, what will you do next to carry the light forward? How will you use your own story to uncover rubies in the rubble? Next up, we dive straight from the thief of joy into the architecture of joy in episode 467 with Raquel Aparicio. What makes a space feel like home? It's a question I'm asking myself at the moment. Architect Raquel, founder of Mara Design, reveals how her childhood journey from Portugal to China sparked a lifelong passion for meaningful design. Creating spaces filled with joy and meaning, Raquel blends creativity, efficiency, and purpose, transforming spaces into havens of joy and belonging. She explores the emotional impact of colour, culture, and user experience on well-being. From navigating change to designing for connection, discover how architecture can be both profitable and deeply human. Preparation, empathy, and personal identity shape the places we love most, so tune in to discover the architecture of joy. In this episode, you're invited to reflect deeply on how your physical environment shapes your emotional well-being, identity, and sense of fulfillment. Raquel brings a powerful lens to the conversation, showing how intentional design can spark meaningful transformation, not just in how you live, but in how you feel. Raquel's journey from her early move to China, where she experienced displacement and anxiety, to her work designing casinos, hotels, and now transformational homes, highlights a clear truth. Spaces are never neutral. They either support or undermine our sense of safety, joy, and belonging. If you can make the spaces you live in filled with your memories, your colours, your expressions, then you'll have spaces that reflect who you are, she says. Raquel reminds us that the smallest details, colours, textures, scents, carry emotional weight. Portugal's unique blue sky, for instance, still brings her a deep sense of comfort. Such cues are not just aesthetic preferences, they are emotional anchors, grounding us in memory, identity, and a feeling of home. How does your space reflect you? Consider this question. In what ways is your environment supporting or detracting from your sense of fulfillment? Your surroundings can either nurture your authenticity or mute it. Yet so often we overlook their influence, dismissing decor or layout as superficial. Raquel challenges that notion. Colour is life, and your home should feel like an extension of your values, culture, and joy. She also invites you to move from insight to action, to let what you learn from self-reflection directly shape how you design your life. Create your space with intention. And here are a few actions inspired by Raquel's episode and her approach. Audit your environment. Take a fresh look at your living space. How do you feel when you enter each room? Is your bedroom calming or chaotic? Does your kitchen spark creativity or drain you? Note any emotional responses and the design elements contributing to them. Choose anchor colours and objects. Reflect on colours and objects that make you feel safe, inspired, or nostalgic. Maybe it's a warm orange that reminds you of sunsets, or a blue that recalls childhood summers. Add simple items, a cushion, artwork, or a tablecloth that carry those emotions. Even a small change can shift your experience of a room. Create space that serves you. Think of yourself as a target market of your own home. Where do you feel most like you? How might you extend that feeling into more areas? Reclaim a neglected nook. Add a plant to your desk or frame a meaningful photo. Designed for comfort and authenticity, not perfection. And include others in the process. We both noted how different people in homes related to space in different ways. Invite your family or your housemates to share your preferences. What makes them feel at home? And use this as a chance to foster dialogue and co-create spaces that support everyone's well-being. This episode is a reminder that your environment is a living expression of you. Raquel's story shows how early experiences of displacement shaped her mission to help others feel grounded, safe, and seen through design. By reflecting on your own story and making intentional choices, you too can create a space that nurtures your purpose. If our actions through design can help people feel better and more fulfilled and with joy, then that makes my mission fulfilled in my way, she says. So what's one small thing you can do today to make your space more you? Your home is more than a backdrop. It's a canvas for healing, expression, and belonging. By aligning your surroundings with your values, memories, and emotional needs, you take a powerful step towards living more intentionally. And this leads me perfectly into episode 468, Leading with Integrity with Candice Quartermain. What role does intuition play in your decisions, and how do you strengthen trust in it? With 20 years of experience as a business consultant, Candice Quartermain shares her journey from people-pleasing to purposeful leadership and meaningful contribution. She explores how tuning into the body's wisdom, embracing authenticity, and trusting intuition can radically transform how you live and lead. Candice reflects on balancing work and family, the importance of play and experimentation, and her commitment to regenerative solutions. Offering powerful insights on aligning with your true nature, redefining success, and stepping into your power one intentional choice at a time, Candice is truly leading with integrity. In this heartfelt conversation, you're invited to explore how lived experience, embodied self-awareness, and courageous action can shape a more purposeful and fulfilling life. Candice doesn't just talk about reflection, she lives it. She experiments, adapts, and leads with integrity from the inside out, showing that true alignment comes not from theory, but from practice. As you listen, you may find yourself pausing, especially when Candice speaks openly about slowing down, listening to her body, and trusting her intuition. These aren't abstract ideals, they are hard-won practices, forged in the real tension between the demands of work, family, and self. Do not ask me to stop, because that is the most terrifying thing I can possibly face ever, she said. With raw honesty, Candice names something many of us feel, that stillness can be more confronting than speed. In a culture that rewards constant motion, it can take real courage to pause, to check in rather than check out. But in doing so, we begin to hear the deeper wisdom within. Candice speaks to what it means to lead with integrity, not performatively, but authentically. For her, this begins by being present, not just for others, but within herself. She honors what her body and intuition are communicating, even when it's uncomfortable. Slowing down becomes a practice of tuning in and not checking out. Ask yourself, how often do you allow yourself to pause, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally? Do you make space to feel what's true for you, or are you swept up in momentum, moving on autopilot? Candice reminds us that this kind of integrity starts small, one conscious breath, one check-in with your body, one moment of stillness in a flurry of activity. These are not detours from productivity, they're acts of self-leadership. One thread in Candice's story is her journey toward trusting her body's intelligence. She recalls moments when she overrode her inner knowing and the cost of doing so. One such moment, standing in the delivery room, asserting her needs against external expertise, highlights how essential it is to trust yourself first. Too often we seek logic, consult others, or second-guess our instincts. But as Candice shares, the body holds a different kind of wisdom. When faced with a decision, big or small, try asking, what does my body feel about this? Notice if there's tightness or ease, excitement or resistance. Over time, this kind of awareness builds a foundation for more intentional choices and deeper self-trust. Another key takeaway is Candice's belief in the power of practice. She urges us not to sit on the sidelines of our own lives. It's not about grand gestures, it's about showing up, even in small, imperfect ways, for what matters. Say yes to the things that light you up. Put action and energy behind things. Don't sit on the sidelines, she said. So here's my invitation to you. Choose one thing this week that matters, something you've been hesitating on, dreaming about, or quietly longing for. Maybe it's reaching out to someone, carving out space for self-care, or finally saying yes to that project. Let your values meet your actions in ways that feel honest and sustainable. Slowing down doesn't mean abandoning momentum. It means becoming more conscious of the pace and direction you're moving in. Candice shows that the most meaningful change happens when reflection leads to embodied, aligned action. Try setting small reminders throughout your day to check in. Take a breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Ask, what's true for me right now? This isn't about controlling every moment. It's about showing up with clarity and care. Candice's story is a powerful reminder that the path to fulfillment isn't about achieving more. It's about becoming more attuned to who you are and what you need to thrive. Through cycles of reflection and courageous, imperfect action, she models what it looks like to lead with integrity and to live from the inside out. So ask yourself, where am I moving on autopilot, and where might I pause? What signals is my body offering me today? What one small step can I take to honour my own wisdom and show up for what matters most? You don't need permission to begin. Your presence, your pace, your intuition, these are your superpowers. When you lead with them, even the smallest acts can ripple out in meaningful ways. Lead with integrity. My penultimate reflection with action is taken from episode 469, Purposeful Partnerships with John Lane and Will Barfield. Firstly, a shout out to Shelley Starks for their introduction. I'm always grateful for my network being expanded, and Shelley has certainly contributed to that happening, so thank you. John Lane and Will Barfield share a passion for people-centric approaches in the professional world. Discussing the challenges of modern workplace dynamics, the impact of AI, and the importance of genuine human connection, John and Will explore their unique business relationship, emphasizing the value of serving others, building meaningful networks, and prioritizing personal growth over traditional success metrics. This conversation reveals the power of listening, creating value beyond transactional interactions, and ultimately showcases the full potential of purposeful partnerships. In this powerful episode, a clear message emerges. When you put people at the heart of your work with care, intention, and integrity, you not only create meaningful impact, but also build lasting success. Both John and Will draw from deep wells of experience to remind us that how you treat others, whether they're colleagues, clients, candidates, or strangers, can shape your career, legacy, and fulfillment far more than any short-term win ever could. Throughout the conversation, John and Will return to a shared belief: people are the most valuable part of any business. John, reflecting on decades in corporate environments, shares how witnessing and experiencing a lack of care, lack of attention, lack of alignment pushed him toward roles where he could influence positive change. His mission now is simple but profound: help businesses get the people thing right. Will echoes this deeply. He never set out to become a recruiter, but by paying attention to what brought him joy, connecting people to meaningful opportunities, he built a career rooted in service. For Will, true fulfillment comes not from transactions, but from knowing he's helped change lives. He shares a story of someone who still, 10 years later, tells others that Will changed his life by connecting him to a job he loves. That kind of legacy doesn't come from selling widgets. It comes from putting people first. This episode also carries a quiet warning. As AI and automation become more prevalent in hiring and business operations, the temptation grows to see people as numbers or replaceable parts. But Will offers a clear reminder. There is some gut instinct and some communication nuance and just some experience and wisdom that cannot be AI'd. Human connection, empathy, and wisdom are not automatable, and they remain irreplaceable. Reflect on how you show up for others in your work. This week, take one conscious action to see and support someone as a person, not just as a role or a function. It could be listening more deeply, offering help, or simply expressing genuine appreciation. Another central thread in this conversation is the difference between transactional interactions and relational leadership. John describes how he once measured success by office size and promotions, a mindset he now calls a trap that required surgical removal. Real success, he discovered, lies in relationships, purpose, and long-time alignment. Will illustrates this principle beautifully. Early in his career, he went out of his way to help people who didn't directly benefit his placement targets. While his bosses questioned the value, Will trusted his instinct to lead with service. Over time, that generosity built trust, respect, and a powerful network that now brings clients and candidates to him. No hard sell required. Help when help is needed, not transactionally. It will come back, but it will come back in some way. This isn't about being selfless to a fault. It's about playing the long game, where integrity, generosity, and human connection become your most valuable currency. In one interaction today, shift from what can I get to how can I help? Ask with no agenda. Listen with no interruption. Offer support with no expectation of return. Notice how that feels for you and for them. Both John and Will acknowledge the shifting landscape of work. Economic pressure, evolving norms, and the rise of AI can make it tempting to chase quick wins or efficiencies at the cost of connection. But their conversation is a reminder that purpose, people, and presence remain timeless foundations. Your success is measured in joy in what really matters: the relationships, the emotional well-being, the legacy, and impact. When you put people first and play the long game, you don't just survive change, you lead through it. You build organizations and careers with real staying power, rooted in trust, service, and human connection. Where can you shift from urgency to intention? Who in your world could benefit from your attention, your care, or your mentorship? What's one relationship you can nurture this week? Not for return, but for real connection. Let this episode be your reminder that legacy isn't built in a single moment. It's built in every conversation, every act of service, every choice to put people first. What's your next step to create and maintain purposeful partnerships? My final focus for today is episode 470, Why Complex, Complicated Conversations Matter, with Katie Allen. Ever feel too nervous to speak up about sensitive or uncomfortable topics? Katie Allen unpacks the art of navigating difficult conversations around inclusion, privilege, and purpose. Drawing on her personal journey and professional work in diversity, equity, and inclusion, Katie reveals what holds people back from speaking honestly, why making mistakes is part of the process, and how curiosity can become a powerful tool for connection. Learn how to move from fear and silence to growth and authenticity with courage, as Katie explores why complex, complicated conversations matter. In this insightful episode with Katie, two powerful themes emerged, both urgent, both universal: the role of fear in silencing important conversations, and the transformative power of choosing curiosity and courage over comfort. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign. Katie speaks candidly about the collective nervousness that often arises around conversations on diversity and inclusion, the fear of putting your foot in it, saying the wrong thing, or offending someone unintentionally. It's a fear rooted in good intentions and a deep human desire to belong and do no harm. But when fear leads to silence, the cost is growth, our own and that of those around us. Ask yourself, where has fear held you back from speaking up, asking a question, or learning more about someone else's experience? Katie challenges us to reframe those moments not as threats, but as invitations. Next time anxiety bubbles up before a hard conversation, notice it, name it, and then lean in. As Katie reminds us, discomfort is often the first sign of meaningful change. She offers a simple, profound, powerful script to help you begin. I might trip over my words and I might get something wrong, but I want to understand. Would you mind helping me learn? That kind of humility opens doors. Most people are more willing to walk through them with you if they sense you're coming from a place of respect and a willingness to grow. Katie shared a personal story from her time working in oil refineries. Despite leading a diverse team and holding strong intentions around inclusion, she later realized she hadn't taken the opportunity to really understand her colleagues' lived experiences. Out of fear, she might say something wrong. That regret, however, became a catalyst. She didn't let it calcify into shame. Instead, she sought out training, had the hard conversations, and deepened her understanding through deliberate action. This shift from regret to responsibility is critical. Mistakes aren't failures unless we refuse to learn from them. Katie's example urges us to look back honestly, not to punish ourselves, but to harvest the learning. If you've ever replayed a conversation in your mind, cringing at what you said or didn't say, you're not alone. But next time, instead of spiraling into self-judgment, pause and ask, what was I trying to do? If your intent was connection, treat the fumble as feedback, not a flaw. Think of the power of TEFCAS. This is Tony Bazan's framework that I referenced in the episode. And TEFCAS stands for trial, event, feedback, check, adjust, success. And this framework reframes every difficult conversation as a learning cycle rather than a test of perfection. After each interaction, ask yourself, what went well? Where did I stumble? What might I do differently next time? By adopting a mindset of iteration, you turn discomfort into a growth engine, both personally and socially. Choose curiosity, practice courage. Katie calls this approach being a curiosity magpie, someone who collects insights, perspectives, and lessons from the world around them. When you lean into reflection and follow it up with courageous action, even small steps can create powerful ripples. So, here's your invitation. Where can you lean into discomfort this week, guided by curiosity instead of fear? What conversation at work, at home, or with a friend have you been avoiding that might benefit from your vulnerability? Write down what comes up, then commit to one imperfect, honest conversation. Let your questions be clumsy if they must, but let them happen. Fear is natural, but it doesn't have to dictate your choices. Discomfort signals growth. It means you're stretching into new awareness. Regret can fuel purpose if you let it guide you into action. You don't need to be perfect to make a difference, just willing. So go on, start that conversation. By choosing connection over caution and reflection over retreat, you help shift the culture, not with grand gestures, but with one brave, curious question at a time. And this is why complex, complicated conversations matter. This episode's over, but let's keep the conversation going. How has this episode impacted you? Share your insights, takeaways, and reflections with actions on social media, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Your feedback creates powerful ripple effects, helping others to discover its value. Want to dive deeper into purpose? Check the show notes for links on how to work with me, where to buy my new book, Focus on Why, Create a Purposeful Way of Life, available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook, and where to sign up for Friday Focus, my weekly newsletter. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why.